The first thing is to talk about the budget, and that's obviously been a big issue in Lansing right now. Revenues to the state are down significantly. Last week, the legislature signed or passed the budget agreement that was came to with the governor that in essence would increase funding about $175 per pupil for the current fiscal year. That's the year that we are currently in. There are some caveats to how those dollars can be spent, mainly for COVID-related response that many districts have had to face. So it was a difficult task to get to no reductions given the large budget hole that was part of the COVID response. For the next fiscal year, this is the fiscal year that would start October 1st. There hasn't been a whole lot of action, and there are discussions that are happening, but the main issue is that given the uncertainty that COVID has created, policymakers are a little unsure of what the revenue situation to the state actually is. And in August, there's going to be what we call in Lansing the Consensus Revenue Estimating Conference. And that is an opportunity for the state's top economists to come together and make a good faith estimate of what revenues will look like to the state. From there, that is the start of the building of the budget for the next fiscal year. The budget needs to be in place by September 30th, so you will see some action sometime in September. It's hard to say when exactly that will be. A lot of that depends on the how much revenue is coming in and how much federal revenue might be coming in through the federal stimulus that's being discussed in Washington right now. So it's hard to provide districts a lot of certainty at this point, but I think the first step was making sure that the current fiscal year was covered. Let me move on a little bit. I want to talk about, you probably saw in the news, the legislature the House did also act on a package of bills. It was really designed to provide districts with maximum flexibility in how they operate for the next school year. It was meant to open up the available courses for students to learn virtually. It provided relief to districts to not have to provide in-person instruction. It provided the opportunity for districts to assess students and see where they're at academically, which helps parents and teachers focus their instruction. Those are some of the highlights. And what I can say now is that has led to some really positive discussions with my colleagues in the Senate and my colleagues in the governor's office to really try to work towards an agreement of what things will look like next year. And I know there's a lot of uncertainty right now. Districts are trying their best to plan, and parents are trying to figure out what's happening and what they should do. I think it's important for parents to enroll their students and move forward with the best information that they have. I know it's a difficult time. I know we struggle in my family, but really the conversations are really focused on making sure that students are safe, that teachers are safe, that students' instructional needs are met, but also that we're providing some flexibility or some stability to districts. So that's really the focus of those conversations, and I would expect in the next week that you will see something come out of Lansing to give some stability and some answers to districts.
When is the budget estimating conference? And there's a follow-up to that.
I do not know. It has not been scheduled at this point, but I believe it will be in the second or third week of August.
Okay. And then schools that go to an online model, will the funding structure be the same per student, or will a different structure have to be decided and approved? And I think some of this question is coming from the public's understanding that you don't get the same amount of money per pupil if you're doing online instruction. And right now our schools really need all and more money per pupil to make sure that they're able to teach and keep everybody safe and
Sure.
And so on. So go ahead.
There's been no indication, no conversations that I have heard of differentiating funding, whether a student is in person, is virtual, distance, whatever you want to call it. The goal is to fund each student equitably as much as possible. So regardless of how instruction is being delivered to them.
Great. Okay. Is there a way, Brad, for you to find out for us to get confirmation of whether that is true or not true? Because I think that's a worry that some folks have.
Yeah, it's ultimately a decision that needs to be made by the legislators that are working on those budgets. So there's nothing I can say confidently at this point to say yes, 100% that is going to be the case. That will be a part of the budget conversations. But I can tell you that I've never heard the idea of differentiating based upon how a student's receiving instruction.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.